you could remain seated, we're about to welcome Ranbir Kapoor here, but if everyone could remain seated now, please.
Take a good one. Fingers crossed. If the bouncers. Yeah. I know how we would. Mavish knows what happened with us. We're all set.
We'll have to make a desi group and share the recordings and kind of get whatever.
So please remain seated as Ranbir Kapoor enters, please.
Please, no one stand up. Please. No one stand up, no one stand in the aisle.
Yeah, no one standing up, no one here in the central aisle.
Thank you. Sorry. 8, 7, 6, 5.
I left my self-esteem.
So ladies and gentlemen, if we can give a warm welcome to Ranbir Kapoor. Staying seated, please stand up. I wanted to just quickly, before I physically hand in the award, and we'll take some photos, and then we're going to do a quick discussion and then open out for some questions. Before, I just quickly like to explain I've taken some of my notes here, quickly explain why it's important for Variety to give this award. I'm sure for you, you don't need an introduction, but I'll very quickly talk about Ranbir. This is obviously not a life achievement award, but a recognition of what he has already achieved. And he's obviously coming from one of the most distinguished families of Hindi cinema, of popularly known as Bollywood cinema, from the Kapoor family, and we will talk about this a bit. This year, two very big films, so Shamshira and Brahmastra Part 1, we can also talk about this in a bit. We're acclaimed, he's been acclaimed, and we recognize his magnetic presence on the screen, which I feel you all recognize, and his ability, his chameleon-like ability to take different roles and even within the same film adapt and have different personas within the same film. Obviously, in addition to this year's films, key films such as Rockstar, Barfi, Saint-Jour, many films that have been critical and commercial successes. And he has two upcoming projects, one that he's shooting at the moment, that he will talk about a bit more, called Animal, which is a gangster film, and there's also a romantic comedy we can talk about a bit. So that's the introduction. I'd now like to, if we could stand up and I'll give you the award. And
बाकी सब क्यों खड़े हैं? अवार्ड बोल रहे हैं, बाकी सब खड़े हो गए।
So, I gave this introduction, but we're basically here to hear Ranbir and not hear me. I'll just launch a few questions and then we can talk. So, one of the questions, as I said in the introduction, you come from a renowned family from Hindi cinema, and especially in some of your early films, such as Sawariya, if I'm saying, I don't know, Sawariya, and later with Barfi, there was a kind of a recognition to your grandfather, to Raj Kapoor, and the role of the sort of the tramp link with Chaplin. And perhaps we could begin, having been born into and from such a distinguished family, what heritage that brings and what inspiration that's brought for you.
Firstly, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm extremely grateful to be here, to get awarded the Vanguard Award and to speak to all you guys. So thank you once again. Coming to your question, Martin, I think when I was being born in this family while growing up, it always occurred to me that, I come from a family with a lot of achievers, but there are also a lot of actors and actresses who didn't make it at the movies. And I think growing up, there was really a learning lesson for me, that if you really want to make it in life, even though you come from a film family, even though, your opportunities are going to come to other people, you need to be individualistic you need to have an understanding of the country you live in, of your language, of your culture, of your characters. Having said that, when you compare movies like Savaria and Berkeley, and I paid a tribute to my grandfather. But having said that, I'm also a very big Chaplin fan myself. My grandfather really emulated Chaplin a lot in his films, but he is the ultimate hero, right? The finding the tragedy in comedy, comedy in tragedy. So yes, the inspirations were Chaplin, the inspirations were Raj Kapoor, but that's what the influences have been while growing up also.
But this kind of naivety which a character like from your grandfather, from Chaplin, I do feel that's something that's been an important, it's not always easy to maintain that in our lives and in our performances, but certainly you immediately talking to you come across as a very human, someone in touch that everyone can identify with. If you could talk a bit more of how that's important and the challenges that.
Well, I think as an actor, I think the hero never appealed to me. The under-hero or the underdog, they always appeal to me. The character arc of an ordinary man doing extraordinary things always appealed to me more as an actor. Having said that, I came in at a time in Hindi films where there was probably one or two young actors. There was me and another actor called Imran Khan. So a lot of these new age filmmakers who were writing newer stories, they automatically, we got offered such films. So we were at the right place at the right time. The heroes before me were older, and they were on the verge of playing characters which are older men. So I was at the right place at the right time. I did films like Wake Up Sid, Rocket Singh, Salesman of the Year, Barfi, Rockstar, Rajniti, in the early part of my career. But it's to me, when I was hearing the scripts as an actor, I never found them to be an independent film or an art film. I found it to be really commercial films that would do well at the box office. Some did well, some didn't do well. But that was my understanding, that was my learning. It takes time at any field, at any profession that you come from. It takes you a couple of years to really kind of understand your audience, really understand the characters, really understand what kind of stories you want to be part of. Not that I know now, I wish I fucking knew, but that's the endeavor, right? It's to constantly to do better.
Very good. And I wanted to ask your English is excellent, both from having grown up in India. I think some of your education was also in English, but also above all having studied also in New York, in the School of Visual Arts and Lee Strasberg. If you could talk a bit about that's the interest of what that brought you, in particular this question of method acting, the Strasberg School, and the vision perhaps that gave you from being in a different country, that if you could talk a bit how that's inspired your work, because that was right at the beginning of your career, yes?
Yeah, I think the most important thing and the most impactful thing about my studies abroad was to be independent, to live alone, to interact with students from different cultures, to you kind of find yourself, you find confidence in yourself. Growing up, I was very introverted. I was terrible at my school. I never got selected for the dramatics also. Like, people thought I was a terrible actor. The only thing I was decent at was football. So that kind of gave me an identity while growing up. But when I reached film school, and in film school, nobody really knew who I was. I come from a film family and all of that. But then I found myself there. Then I found myself in a way that, okay, this is exciting, this is inspiring. I'm going to work really hard and try and be good at this. But I think more than the studies, more than the education, it was the time that I spent there. The time coming to my own. Being the person that I am today. I think I really found that in New York.
And this question of having been more introverted and then coming in more, the American culture is quite extroverted culture. Do you think so that experience helped you kind of come out of your shell?
I think, my mom used to tell me all the time that you're so shy, how will you be an actor? You have to be a people person, you have to be out there. But I don't know how many of you guys are introverts out here, but introverts are, so it's very hard, for introverts to really be something who they are not. But I think I found my space and my groove being the person I am. I didn't need to change myself. I didn't need to compromise in my thoughts and who I am as an individual to actually make it in life. I try to be as true to myself.
And this question of method acting, like the Lee Strasberg School is very associated with this idea of method acting, and certainly part of your acclaim is your capacity to fuse with the characters. I was wondering if you could talk about that, whether you have a method acting approach, whether it came from, was partly consolidated through the education, or in general, certainly some of the roles you've done, you very intensely get into the roles, and if you could talk about how you do that.
Yeah, I think method acting is something which I also realized once I reached Lee Strasberg. I thought everybody just has to look good, dance well, make a body, and they're heroes. Then it's when I went to New York and when I went to Lee Strasberg, it gave me a realization that there is much more. But yes, I learned the method for 9 months. But then when I came back, I assisted Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali on a film called Black, and that's where I learned it all. Just being on a film set. I'm watching actors like Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and Rani Mukherjee do their magic, and I was one of the 20 assistants working my ass off, and that my father took away my car, so I had to travel by public transport. So I really lived that life, and I think that really grounded me. Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali was a very hard taskmaster. I mean, he used to really give it to us if he made a mistake and be extremely hard on us. So all of that really made me grounded, and understand the value of the position that I could be given at the movies. So that really prepared me. And I think where method acting is concerned, every film comes with its own method. When I did a film called Rockstar, thank you. So because it was about a musician, and unfortunately, I can't sing, I can't play any instrument. I feel really bad that God didn't grant me that talent, because I truly feel a musician or a person who can sing has the highest amount of talent. So I had to work really hard. I went to Mr. A.R. Rahman, was doing the music of the film. So I stationed myself in his studio for 40 days, trying to grasp the musician quality. I learned how to play the guitar. I used to travel with the director Imtiaz Ali to different parts of Delhi, meet different people from this strata of society, like Janardhan Jhakar, JJ of Rockstar, and try to understand and kind of imbibe. Because I have grown up in a certain strata of society, I really don't know my own country characters as well, and I find that extremely challenging for me now as an actor. I remember Mr. Amir Khan had told me before I became an actor, and I asked him that if you had to give me an advice, what would it be? And he said that just pack your bags and get on a train and just travel around your country. See things, see the different cultures around your country, meet people, because later on you won't be able to do that. And I really regret that I didn't do it. But if there's any aspiring actor or actress who come to me to ask me for advice, I think that's something that they should follow. I think that'll really help them in their lives.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to ask, with the Brahmastra this year, which is part 1 and then 2 and 3. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but a blockbuster, yes. So, but the director, again, I'm sure I will pronounce all the names incorrectly, but Ayan Mukesh, who's a good friend of yours, and I think his 3 films, Wake Up Sid, the second, Jawani Havid Diwani, but these 3 films that you've made with him, which I think are all of his 3 films, but that's a long-term friendship. If you could talk a bit of those 3 films and how the dynamic between the 2 of you and how that's evolved.
You know, when I did Wake Up, I met Ayan on Wake Up set when he came to narrate the story to me. And the 2 movies I had done before that was Sabarya and Bachna Hasino. And like I was mentioning earlier, in my head, I thought being an actor means being the hero. But when Wake Up Sid came to me, I realized, you can play a character also at the movies. You don't really have to play this one type of character. You can really play this character called Sid, who's a slacker, who has no dreams, has no ambition. And that felt really liberating to me at the point that I did it. So I think Ayan and me really have similar ideologies. We love the movies. We have great ambitions. When Brahmastra, the dream of Brahmastra came about, and Ayan spoke to me about it in 2012 actually. It's been 10 years. So we've been dreaming this since that long. And it's just the joy and the gratefulness to be at the place that we are in. We love what we do, and to get the opportunity to make a film like Brahmastra. It's a very expensive film. It's a film like this, with a budget like that, with the VFX, and all. Films like this haven't really been made in India. At least too much of it. So it was a dream, and it was an exciting dream, and we still have a long way because we just finished the first part of 3.
That's why we are waiting eagerly for this.
I know, even I am.
We have a fan of yours, he loves you. When is Brahmastra 2 coming? Menega, he's coming
I'll
to
tell you something in secret after this. That only you know. So Ayan and me are quite similar people. We have great ambitions, and I believe in him as a storyteller, and he really believes in me as an actor. So I think that's what the combination worked out.
Okay, well, we can perhaps come back to the challenges of the big budget films, but just a few more quick questions. So, also within your career, I found very interesting, and I enjoyed the Rajniti, if I'm saying it correctly, and I think that was also a change of course. That there's no sort of direct music, there's no singing. It's a political drama inspired in part by films like The Godfather, and perhaps the project you're now working, the gangster film Animal. These are a different type of challenge for you. So if you could talk a bit about Rajniti and the challenges this type of role poses for you.
I'll actually be very honest with you about Rajniti. When I did Rajniti, I loved the script when it was offered to me. It had, it was inspired by Godfather, by the Mahabharata. And the character that was offered to me was Arjun's character. Arjun is a character from the Mahabharata. But while I was doing the film, I don't think I deeply understood the material of the film. When I was dubbing the film, I realized, oh shit, this is what this scene means, or this is what the dialogue meant. But the reason I got saved is that the film script was such an actor-proof script, and my character was so impactful. It didn't matter if I put in the effort or not. That character really stood out. Yes, of course, I was honest while I was shooting the film. But I always regret that film, as a character, as an actor. I kind of missed out because I could have gone deeper. I could have done better. So in my filmography, if I really have to pick one performance, I did, yes, I know. But I wish I could have done better.
She was crying. She was crying behind.
I was crying. Yes, I didn't take a picture with you.
We'll take a picture.
Okay.
So we are from Bhopal, you shot it in Bhopal.
Yes, and Bhopal. Actually, the most exciting part of Rajniti was Bhopal. The food, the people, just the culture there, and how easy it was for us to shoot there. I really hope that I can go back and shoot a film. Yes, Noor Sabha is one of the nicest hotels I've stayed in.
We also said
Very good. We'll take a few more questions in the end. Let me just carry on before we do the question. So, if we could talk, I think another great film with multiple challenges is the biopic Sanju. From Sanjay. And I think this is what, in terms of that chameleon quality that you have, this was a particularly strong example. And if you could talk of showing the different times of his life and the different challenges, if you could talk about this film, please.
So Martin, there are a couple of factors behind it. Firstly, growing up, I was a fan of Sanjay Dutt. Strangely, when my sister had the poster of Salman Khan in her cupboard, I had Sanjay Dutt's poster in my cupboard. So I really looked up to him. And then when Mr. Rajkumar Hirani, who's one of the greatest directors of Indian cinema, he offered me Sanju when he messaged me saying that, hey Ranbir, I would like you to read a script. I messaged him because it was already in the press that he could be dabbling in making a biopic on Sanjay Dutt. I messaged Rajkumar Hirani that I hope it's not the Sanju biopic. Now, why I messaged him that is I thought that how do you make a film on an actor who's still living, who's still acting? It's not that he's retired. And Rajkumar Hirani, who makes a certain kind of movies, and Sanjay Dutt's movie would be something really dark and something really graphic, the kind of life he's had. But when I read the story, and when the film released, it had a lot of conflicting opinions. Some people liked it. It was a huge box office success. A lot of people thought it was about like whitewashing his image. It was trying to portray him as the good guy when he really made mistakes. But I didn't see that as an actor. I just felt like as an actor, I didn't judge him for the person he was. I just wanted to put a vulnerability and a heart and understand the character and play him to the best of my capabilities. So when I had the opportunity, I knew that the risk was very high, because it's not that I'm playing a character who's dead and who, we don't know what he really looks like, but he's an actor and he's world famous, so there were the mannerisms, there was the physicality, then above that, there was also the narrative, it started from the age of 20 and all the way till he was 65, and that was really challenging for me as the place I was in my life, for my physicality, for my understanding. So I worked my ass off, knowing that the opportunity like this will not come often, to work with a director like Rajkumar Hirani, to work on a Sanjay Dutt biopic. And yeah, inspiration is a luxury, sometimes it comes and it just kind of takes you through. It's come very rarely in my life, probably once or twice, and with the Sanju film, I was inspired, so everything just kind of fit in.
And these kind of method acting, but you were with the Sanjay Dutt, and you if you could just talk a bit what was necessary in order to get into the role in these different stages.
I think initially I started spending a lot of time with him, and then there came a point when I was like, okay, listen, I need to kind of back off here, because I can't be biased towards this part and the mistakes he makes, and I can't be partial to this person just because I love him. So I kind of took a step back, and then I approached it individually, as a movie, as a story. So I did all the groundwork, the homework, did like prosthetic trials for so basically I had to wake up at 2:30 at night. I had to reach set at 3:30. I was 5 hours on the chair doing the prosthetic makeup. And when I'm ready at 7:30 is when the 12-hour shift starts. And then an hour and a half to get the makeup out. So it was really challenging physically also, and you work with lack of sleep. But like I said earlier, in any field of work, when you're inspired, everything is just, it's a breeze. It just happens.
Thank you very much. Now, between Sanju and the two films this year, I think there's an interval partly related to the time necessary to make these two films, and partly the pandemic, obviously. Am I right in that? Between 2018 and this year, the 2022, you've had more films as well, or if you talk about this period? Yeah.
Well, I had Sanju come out, and then of course we were hit by the pandemic.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, my father fell very ill at that point, and we had to go to New York to start his treatment, so I had a long break at that time. But then Brahmastra took 3.5 years to make. There was Shamshera, which also I was working in. Shamshera by far has been the hardest film I've worked with. It was a big box office disaster. But the biggest mistake I made on Shamshera is I stuck a beard. And no, but listen, when you stick a beard and you shoot in the heat, It's like your face is melting with like gum. You can't like open your mouth. You can't smile. You're irritable. And I was like, never ever am I ever going to stick a fake beard or wear a wig. Just go take time off, grow your own beard, and do that.
But the
Very
character
good.
that you depicted, believe me, it just suits.
Thank you. Being too kind to me, it was not so good. That's why I
We
didn't
love
do it.
it. Make anything look good.
He's an honest man.
So I want to
Bombay Velvet. Bombay Velvet, yes. So while I was working on a film called Bombay Velvet, which is another very big disaster of Indian cinema.
That was because of Karan Johar.
No, that's unfair to say. While working on the film, I thought like, wow, this is amazing. Like Anurag Kashyap was directing. We had great set of actors. Everybody was committed. Everybody was working. See, once you start a film, you lose perspective because you surrender to the process. You surrender to the filmmaking. You surrender to the character. Then you really don't. You lose. An objectivity of okay, is it going right? Is it going wrong? You don't know. You choose a subject, you choose a script, and then you just have to surrender. So Bombay Velvet was something which I think it deserved the fate that it had because it wasn't a good film. But then another disaster of mine, a film called Jeddah. It's a film that I produced, but that really hurt me, because that was a passion project. It was directed by Anurag Basu. He's the director I worked on Barfi with. And we produced Jaga Jasoos together, and it was really a very heartwarming, sweet idea about a stammering detective, a singing detective, but didn't do well, and that really hurt me. So I think that's the only film in my career that really hurt me, that didn't do well.
But just before we take some questions, but this you're quite daring in the roles you want to take. You want to push the envelope, as it were. So if a film perhaps won't be a commercial success or even a critical success, you still want to do certain roles because they're pushing you forward, yes?
No, see, Martin, filmmaking is a very expensive medium, so I don't want to sit here and say that, audience is king. You're going to make films that please your audience. If it's edgy, if it's masala, whatever it is. The masala genre actually is the toughest genre because it's a multi-genre film. You got to be doing action and comedy and romance, and there is songs and there's action, and then you have to really tell a good story within it. But when I did films like, say, Tamasha or Jaga Jasoos, which didn't do well at the box office, I kind of understood that why those films didn't do well. But I think today a lot of people speak to me about Tamasha. A lot of people, but it was a big disaster at that time. But I understand the value of that character, of that story, and I'm proud. I'm proud that I was a part of that film. But picking edgy roles or picking things that make me happy as an actor is somebody probably I was 10 years back. I think today I really want to make movies more for the audience. I really want them to be entertained. I really want these next 10 years or this last phase of my career really to be about the audience.
I wouldn't say the last phase of your career, but so let's. I have a couple.
This does sound like a midlife award, right?
Midlife crisis. So I have some more questions, but let's take some questions already because I know there are many.
Take more questions.
Some questions already because I know there are many.
Take more questions.
Let's take the gentleman here with the red cap.
Hi,
Hi, what's your
welcome
name?
to Jeddah, Mr. Ranbir.
Thank you. What's
My
your
name
name?
is Muhammad Al-Muhammadi,
Muhammad.
but I'm a character in Saudi, a known guy called Guru. And my question to you is, who Ranbir was, what was his weakness at the time of Savaria, and what was your weakness at the time of Brahmastra?
Oh, that's a very deep question. I think you're saying weakness in my process or
In
me
your
as
process,
an
in your
actor, right?
process.
I think what I felt during Savaria and probably what I felt during Brahmastra, there is a certain similarity to that feeling, and I think that's what also keeps you alive as an artist is that insecurity. It's not that I go today to give a shot and I'm very confident that it's going to go great, that it's going to I'm going to kill it. There is always this feeling when I'm doing my makeup in my vanity van, thinking that will I be able to do it? I hope the director doesn't ask for another take. I hope I don't screw up my dialogues. So these thoughts really keep you alive as an artist, and I think the day that dies, that insecurity, I'll probably die as an actor. So far it's, I still have that weakness, and I hope that weakness doesn't go away.
Thank you very much. So we can take this lady there with the, yeah.
Your favorite.
Hi, Ranbir.
What's your name?
Maham.
I'm Maham.
First of all, I want to congratulate you because you've just become a daddy. And we love the name Raha. So I want to ask you, because I just recently read that both you and Alia are trying to raise your child like without any help, parenting like, together. I'm sure you can take help, but what I want to know is how are you both going, because you both are working, you and Alia. So how are you both have plans to continue working while raising your daughter?
Well, firstly, it's beyond. I mean, it's a delight. I never expected to feel this way. Raha completed her 1 month birthday yesterday. Me and Alia discuss this often. That what are the value system that you want to pass on to your child. It's about empathy. It's about kindness. It's about respecting your elders. About equality. You have so many different things that you have probably imbibed from your parents or from life that you want to pass on to your child. But I think the most important thing is to set an example, is to be these qualities to your child. I think a child learns more when they experience it, and as parents you have to embody these emotions, these attributes of kindness, of you've got to be these people, and that's how the child will imbibe that. Where work is concerned, I think Alia and myself really value time away from work. I anyways don't work that much. I work around 200 or 180 days a year. Alia does a lot of work. She is way more busy than I am. So I think we will balance it out. When she takes work, probably I'll take a break, and when I take work, she'll take a break. But it's a very exciting time in our life. We were boyfriend, girlfriend a couple of years back, then we became husband and wife, and now we are parents. And just yesterday we were talking that, it's the word that I have a daughter, it still has not hit me, because I have not said this enough. Right now I'm in an interview, so I'm saying my daughter. But when I say the word daughter, I was like, wow, this is really, it's like, there's stars in my brains right now. But it's a long way ahead, as parents, we all want to be this for our children. And I think the trick is every day just be good enough, just be there.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Take this gentleman over here.
Hi buddy, what's your name?
Hi, Ranbir sir. My name is Aziz.
Please call me Ranbir.
First of all, there is a doctor here. My heart is not normal. I want to say I'm very happy to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time and coming back here.
Thank you for taking your time.
I don't have any question, but I want you to give me one promise.
Okay.
This is your first visit. I think this is your first visit to Saudi.
Yes.
Please don't make it your last.
I won't. I promise you.
Because we want to come back here, explore Saudi, and probably shoot here
I
sometimes.
will, absolutely. And actually, I was just having a conversation right now that Saudi is really making a lot of efforts, for film productions to come here and shoot, and they're making some amazing arrangements.
That's a promise, huh?
Yes, and I think Mr. Shah Rukh Khan just shot a movie here. So yes, a lot of shootings are going to happen in Jeddah and Riyadh and other places.
Something about your grandfather Raj. Do you want to make a film like him?
Okay, we'll take this.
I'll take this question.
We can take this one first.
Well, sir, Mr. Raj Kapoor has been a very big inspiration. I was 6 years old when he passed away. So I don't have many memories of him, but I can tell you that a lot of learnings I have got about life and movies is from watching his films. I think I'm not a very big fan of him as an actor. I'm a big fan of him as a director. I love Shri 420, Jaate Raho, Jis Desh Mein Ganga Behti Hai, Awara. These are really big favorites of mine. Prem Road. So I'm very proud, that I come from, from this lineage. I'm very proud, and I take it as a responsibility. I don't take it as any pressure or burden. I do understand that the place that he put my family members in by being who he was. I'm very grateful for that, and I don't want to take that for granted. And I really want to really give it everything, so that someday somebody doesn't say that, oh, he was just the Raj Kapoor's grandson, so he thought
It's his birthday next
something
week.
about himself. Yes.
Your grandfather's birthday is
Yes.
next week.
Okay, we'll take this lady here, please.
Hello, Ranbir.
Hi, what's your name?
Anjali.
Anjali.
Yeah.
Okay, hi.
Hi. First of all, welcome to Saudi Arabia. We are really happy to see you here. Really appreciate it. We can't express our feelings. We are so excited to see you here. So my first question is to you that I know you're having a blessed life, but I want to know what is the best memorable moment for you being a celebrity?
What was the last thing you said?
The best memorable moment being a celebrity.
Being a celebrity.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is climbing the charts.
So what?
I mean, I'll be honest, it's meeting you guys, wherever you go, if it's in your country, when you travel, the kind of love that gets transferred, when you meet somebody who appreciates your work, who appreciates something that you've done, I don't think there's anything more meaningful than that, to be honest. So I think those are my top moments.
Just take this lady here.
Please here. This way, this side. This side.
Yeah, next after this, you guys.
Then like
Hi,
this.
sir. How are you?
Very good. What's your name?
Mabruk for your daughter Raha.
Hi.
And I just want to ask you something. It's after becoming a father, what is the difference between like previous life and now? How you're managing your life?
Well, the difference is that I'm wondering that why did I take so long? I should have become a father soon. Like my biggest insecurity is like when my children are like 20 and 21, I'll be like 60. Will I be able to like play football with them? Will I be able to run with them?
Very good.
Yeah, but I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's a delight. It's joy like I never experienced. Are you a parent yourself?
Yes, of course. I have 2 daughters.
See, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Can I have autographs, sir?
Yes, we finish this and I'll do it.
At the end. Go over here, please.
You come to you, sir.
Only one. Only one.
Yes, and also then back then. Yeah, you can give them. Yeah, you all. Hello, what's your name?
Mehak,
Hi, Meg.
thanks for coming down here, and I hope you keep coming, as he said earlier. My question for you is, what's the craziest thing a fan has done for you?
I know.
Okay, let her answer.
She wants to sing a song for
This
you.
lady who got married to his gate.
How did you know that? What's your name?
These are her daughter. Faryal,
Where are you from?
Pakistan.
So, listen, we have to have a conversation. Is someone singing or this?
Oh my God.
You have a beautiful voice. I hope you pursue this all your voice.
First of all, I'm very happy to see you here.
What's your name?
My name is Nihan. My first question is, who's your idol in Bollywood? What do you think?
Sanjay
My
Dutt?
idol, in the movies has been my grandfather, Mr. Raj Kapoor, and in life actually is Messi, Lionel Messi. I'm a Messi fan.
What you will be if you're not an actor? Sir, what you will be if you're not actor?
A struggling actor. You can ask if you want. Sorry, sir, we'll come to you. I know you stood up twice. We'll come to you. Hi, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Mustafa. Firstly, congratulations on receiving this award.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, I just have a suggestion, or like pitching an idea.
Okay.
Would you be open to working with Vishal Bhardwaj on maybe a Shakespeare adaptation?
Yeah, I would love to. I think one of my favorite Shakespeare stories is Merchant of Venice.
Yes.
So I hope that he adapts that because he hasn't done that yet. That'll be cool.
Thank you.
Do you know him? Okay. I thought you knew only Kapoor in the world. You have to come to him at some point. He's got him knocked twice. Hello, sir. Looking sharp.
Thank you very much. For me, I think the question is that one of the movie which I think underrated, one of my favorite is Rocket Singh. I think that movie is inspirational, and that's kind of the movie when I can look forward to see from you. This movie is still, those who are working in the offices, it's really inspirational. I think most underrated of your movie. For me, it's one of the best you have won. So when we can look forward, and I think you reduce the gap. 4 years is too much. I think after 2, what next?
So I have 2 films releasing this year. I have a romantic comedy which is untitled, coming on 8th of March. Yes, I don't know, it's probably going to be one of the last romantic comedies I do because I'm getting older. I'm running out of ideas how to do.
Unfair to us.
That stars Shraddha and myself. That's directed by Lavaranjan. And then I'm doing a very exciting film called Ananam with Sandeep Reddy Vanga, which is a crime thriller. It's a gangster film.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and it's quite crazy. I mean, it's quite shocking. There's shades of grey to the character. It's something that I have never done before, and it's a very exciting acting project for me. So I'm very excited for that too.
Thank you.
But more movies now.
Do you know when this will come out? Do you know when?
Yes, that's out on 11th of August next day.
Fine. He just wants to say hello to you. One second.
I just want to sing one line. काजल की सिया केसरिया तेरा इश्क है पिया रंग जाऊं जो मैं हाथ लगाऊं दिन बीते सारा तेरी फिक्र में नैन सारी तेरी गैर बताऊं
It's amazing. What's your name again? Manas. Manas. That's, you have an amazing talent, and I hope that you continue with this talent and you work towards it.
He's happy now to
Hello.
Hi, Ranbir. I'm Naima, and I'm literally shaking right now. Well, we love you, first of all.
Thank you.
Lots of love, respect, and prayers all the way from Pakistan. My question is, which one of your characters, you've done mashallah, a lot of characters, which one do you think resonates the most to you? That if you were Ranbir or that character, you think the same thing?
I think Wake Up Sid. Because at some point in my life, at some point in all your lives, we all were ambitionless. We were directionless. We didn't know what we wanted to do with our lives. We were slacking. We were, in college, and you're still there? Okay, you'll find yourself. So yeah, I think Sid was something that I really related to the parts that I've done.
Can I please shake hands with you?
Yes, of course.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। इंग्लिश का बहुत सुना, बहुत किया, थोड़ा उर्दू भी करें। नहीं, मैं सिखाऊंगा, मैं खुद उर्दू तो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ अच्छा। सो मैं आपसे हम सब आज बहुत खुश हैं। तो हमारा एक रिक्वेस्ट है आपसे कि आप जैसा पहले एक पीछे भी बोल, हम भी बोल रहे हैं कि आप ये फाइनली बार 1, 2 और 3, 4 बार फिर आपको इधर आना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हम आपसे इतना प्यार कर रहे हैं कि आप अंदाज में भी नहीं रख सकते हो, इसलिए तो
मेरा वादा है आपसे, मैं बहुत बार आऊँगा। मुझे बहुत लगाव हो गया इस जगह से, आप लोगों से, और मैं यहाँ जरूर एक फिल्म लेकर आऊँगा, फिल्म की शूटिंग करूँगा, और उस दौरान आप सबसे फिर से
मैं एक्टर भी हूँ, मेरे साथ में खेलेंगे। थैंक यू।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। बहुत से सवालात हो गए, सब हो गया। मैं आपको सबसे पहले एक चीज़ के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा अप्रिशिएट करना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि आप समझ रहे थे शायद कि आपका चैलेंज जो है वो ये था कि आपके और बहुत से साथी जो है बहुत अच्छे हीरोज़ थे, बट मेरे लिए मुझे लगता है कि आपके लिए सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज ये था कि आप ऐसी फैमिली से हैं जिसमें बहुत ज़्यादा सुपरस्टार्स, पृथ्वीराज कपूर सर से लेके ग्रेट राज कपूर, रणधीर सर और बहुत से शशि कपूर, शमी कपूर, धन ऋषिक एंड आपके फादर, तो मैं दोनों का फैन हूँ, आपका भी और आपके फादर का भी। तो मैं एक ऐसा गाना थोड़े से बोल आप जिसमें आपका भी है और आपके फादर का भी है, ठीक है? मैं वो गाना गाना चाहता हूँ आपके लिए, और उसके बाद अगर आपको अच्छा लगे तो प्लीज मैं भी शेक हैंड करना चाहूँगा।
अच्छा लगेगा, हम शेक हैंड करके फिर गाओ।
बचना है हसीना तो मैं आ गया, अरे हुस्न का आशिक हुस्न का दुश्मन, अपनी अदा है यारों से जुदा, बचना है हसीनों तो मैं आ गया। Can I come?
Yes, of course.
My turn. Promise. My turn.
पिक्चर भी
हाँ जी हाय अजीम जी।
So my turn.
So we have time for 2 more questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. इतनी देर सबके साथ यहाँ बैठे। I'm from Pakistan. I'm a filmmaker, director, and an actor as well. मेरा लास्ट मैंने अक्षय साहब से एक सवाल किया था, वो कंट्रोवर्सी खाम में बन गई। मैं दिलों को मिलाना चाह रहा था, वो मैं उसके लिए उनसे यहाँ पे अच्छा जाएगा, रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, माफी मांगना चाहता हूँ, मैंने उनका दिल नहीं दुखाना। मेरा सवाल ये है कि नाउ दैट वी आर आउट ऑफ दिस बॉर्डर, पाकिस्तानीज का इंडिया में वर्क करना इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट, एंड सेम इज फॉर द इंडियन एक्टर्स एंड directors and producers to come and work in Pakistan. It's very difficult. Now we have a platform that is Saudi Arabia, where we can jointly do the films. I would love to sign a film, and I have a script and everything ready. Would you be willing to work with the Pakistani team along with your team in Saudi Arabia?
Of course, sir. I think artists, there are no boundaries for artists.
Wow.
Many congratulations to the Pakistan film industry for Maula Jat. That we've seen in the last few years, and of course I would love to.
Thank you so much.
Your name?
Well, I'm afraid we only have time for one more question, so it'll be this lady here. Okay, one second. This question here. Hello.
Good evening.
Hi.
So, sir, you spoke about being
Please call me Ranbir. What's your name and what's your name?
Okay, my name is Neha. That's my daughter Saisha. That's
Hi,
my son
Neha.
Viraj.
Saisha.
So,
And
sir,
he is Who's he?
that's my son Viraj.
Hi, Viraj.
So, sir, you spoke about being an introvert and your mum being worried about your connect with people. I have to tell you, being in Saudi Arabia, I think one of the fears we have is being able to connect with our culture. I think for us, you've done that, and my children actually started dancing looking at your songs. So Sasha is the youngest polyX instructor in the world. She's got a world record. So if she could please just come and handshake with you.
Yes, of course.
Please. Can I ask a question?
बेचारा परेशान ही हो गया जो देना तो हो ये ना रणबीर बहुत नाइस है। अक्षय के साथ
We're going to have to wrap up, but there's a lady, if she could pose a question here, please.
She has a question.
Hi.
I'm interactive on Instagram social profile. What happened there?
I think it goes back to me being an introvert. I think for actors, really to be on another platform apart from movies, you have to work really hard. You really have to be out there. And I also believe that, in today's day and age, the mystery is dying. We're so out there, on the internet, on promoting, advertising, brand endorsements, movie promotions. So I would like to create some mystery about myself as an actor, so you guys get excited when my movies come out. But never say never.
We'd love to follow you and we will be active on Instagram.
I know, so never say never. Maybe another time I would be on Instagram.
Yeah. Can I and your biggest fan come? And
Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
My name is Claire.
Hi.
Welcome in Jeddah.
Thank you.
I just want to request something. It's a humble request. My friend Amal, who is a biggest fan of you.
What's her name?
Amal. My friend.
Okay.
She's supposed to come here. She's coming from Mecca, but she couldn't make it to the discussion. She's probably crying outside. So could you please still hide her out? Amal, yes.
Amal, where is she?
No,
but which camera? This camera? Hi, Amal.
No, Mister. Here.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I missed meeting you, and I hope that I see you sometime. I'm also at the G2 party tonight, so if you make it, then we'll probably meet up there. But thank you so much for all the love.
Mr.
So if everyone could sit down, please.
Ranbir sir.
We could all sit down.
Ranbir sir.
So we're going to have to wrap up there. Thank you very much for everybody. Please sit down.
What is it for football team? Ranbir sir, which team are you supporting for football?